Welcome back to Capital Catch-Up, your insider's guide to the halls of power. I'm Victor.
And I'm Lynny. It is a busy, busy week in Washington. We are looking at late January 2026, and the 119th Congress is moving at breakneck speed. We've got a massive appropriations package, a highly controversial impeachment resolution, and a slate of bills that dive deep into the culture wars.
That's right, Lenny. But before we get to the partisan fireworks, we have to follow the money. House Bill 7148 has dropped, the Consolidated Appropriations Act 2026. This is the big one. This isn't just numbers on a page. This is the legislation that keeps the federal government's lights on.
Exactly. For our listeners who might be new to this, a consolidated act usually means Congress is bundling several different funding bills into one giant package, an omnibus, to ensure passage. It's a strategy used to avoid government shutdowns, but it often means lawmakers are voting on thousands of pages they haven't fully read.
And speaking of heating up the floor, we have to talk about House Resolution 996. This is an impeachment resolution targeting the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. The resolution cites high crimes and misdemeanors.
This is a major escalation. We've seen impeachment used more frequently as a political tool in the last decade, but targeting a cabinet secretary is historically rare. Procedurally, remember that a House resolution like this initiates the process in the House. If it passes there, it moves to the Senate for trial. It's a signal of just how fractured the relationship is between the House majority and the administration regarding border security and agency management.
The fracture is visible elsewhere, too. We're seeing a slew of bills tackling social issues. Take House Bill 7235. It prohibits federal agencies from using the term birthing person in official documents. This is a direct response to the inclusive language initiatives from previous years.
Right, and it's paired with House Bill 7237, which amends the Public Health Service Act regarding chemical abortions, requiring specific risk disclosures. On the other side of the aisle, or perhaps moving in a different direction, we have House Bill 7238, establishing a Commission on Equity and Reconciliation in the Uniformed Services.
So we have one bill effectively banning gender-neutral language in government, and another trying to institutionalize equity review in the military. It really highlights the two distinct realities operating on Capitol Hill right now.
And we can't skip House Bill 7166. This is a significant gun control measure. It would require face-to-face purchases of ammunition and licensing for ammo dealers.
That is going to be a lightning rod. Historically, regulation of ammunition has been a workaround when regulating firearms directly hits constitutional roadblocks. By targeting bulk purchases and ending online sales, the sponsors are trying to create a choke point in the supply chain.
Shifting gears to an area with a bit more bipartisan cooperation, Veterans Affairs. There is a massive amount of movement here. We're looking at House Bill 1458, the Vets Opportunity Act, and House Bill 6358, the Veteran Education Empowerment Act.
The Committee on Veterans Affairs has been working overtime. They held a legislative hearing on January 13th covering a dozen drafts, including the Beacon Act and the Blast Overpressure Research and Mitigation Task Force Act.
That blast overpressure bill is fascinating and tragic. It deals with brain injuries soldiers sustain from the shockwaves of explosions, not just shrapnel. It's an invisible wound. And we should mention House Bill 1227, the Alternatives to Pain Act. This builds on previous efforts to curb the opioid crisis among vets by expanding access to non-opioid pain management.
It connects to House Resolution 1019 as well, which recognizes certified registered nurse anesthetists. They are often the primary providers of anesthesia in the military and rural areas. It's a ceremonial resolution, but it signals support for that workforce.
Speaking of the workforce, let's talk economy and tech. House Bill 1036 is the Ensuring Accountability and Dignity in Government Contracting Act. Victor, usually government contracting is dry stuff, but the dignity in the title suggests this is about labor standards for people working on federal dimes.
Absolutely. And in the tech sector, national security is the driver. House Bill 7058 requires the Secretary of State to assess risks from foreign adversaries using generative AI. We are well past the "is AI dangerous" phase. Congress is now in the "how are our enemies weaponizing this" phase.
Tied to that is House Bill 7037, the Developing Overseas Mineral Investments and New Allied Networks for Critical Energies Act. That is a mouthful, but it means securing the supply chain for things like lithium and cobalt so we're not dependent on China.
We also saw some interesting committee activity. The Committee on Education and the Workforce held a hearing titled "Who's Watching the Kids?" addressing the childcare crunch.
That is the #1 economic issue for millions of families. If parents can't find care, they can't work. It's that simple. On the flip side, the Judiciary Committee held a hearing on anti-American antitrust. looking at how foreign governments target U.S. businesses.
And don't forget the markup session scheduled for January 22nd in the Natural Resources Committee.
Victor, hold on. Can you explain markup for our listeners?
Good catch. A markup is the step where a committee goes through a bill line by line to amend and rewrite it before sending it to the full House floor. It's where the real sausage is made. They were marking up bills like the Tribal Trust Land Home Ownership Act and the Enhancing Safety for Animals Act.
We also have a long list of nominations moving through. The Senate is busy filling the bench. We see nominations for district judges in Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Alaska, and Tennessee.
Specifically, names like Nicholas John Ganjay for the Southern District of Texas and Megan Blair Benton for the Western District of Missouri. These are lifetime appointments, folks. Presidents come and go, but a district judge can shape the legal landscape for 30 years. There are also several U.S. attorneys being nominated, like Andrew Benson for Maine.
It's a reminder that while the House fights over messaging bills, the Senate's confirmation machine is altering the judiciary, quietly but permanently.
Finally, looking at the congressional daily records from January 16th through the 23rd, we see the documentation of all these debates. The record for January 22nd specifically covers that intense debate on the Smarter Borders hearing regarding non-intrusive inspection tech.
So what should we watch for in the coming days?
Watch the Appropriations Bill, House Bill 7148. If that hits a snag, we're looking at a shutdown threat. And keep an eye on that impeachment resolution against Secretary Noem. Even if it doesn't result in removal, it's going to suck all the oxygen out of the news cycle.
And I'm watching House Bill 7115, the Apprenticeship Savings Program. It's a bipartisan bright spot that tries to offer a path to the middle class that doesn't involve a four-year degree.
That's it for this week's Capital Catch-Up. Thanks for listening.
Stay engaged, and we'll see you next time.